A world shrouded in eternal night, a labyrinth of twisting tunnels and ancient caverns where danger lurks at every turn. This is the Underdark, a realm of darkness and despair, home to one of the most terrifying creatures in the multiverse. At the heart of this treacherous land lies Menzoberranzan, a city of the drow, dark elves ruled by the ruthless goddess, Loth, the Spider Queen. But from this pit of darkness came a hero unlike any other, a drow who defied his people and rejected their cruelty, and chose a path of honor and justice. His name is Drizzt Do'Urden, and his story is one of rebellion, survival, and redemption. Welcome everyone, my name is Philip from the D20Dilemma, and I'm going to be taking you on a journey to explore some topics that I find fun and interesting. Today, we're diving deep into the life of Drizzt Do'Urden. We'll explore his tragic origins, his rise as a warrior, his escape to the surface, and the relationships that defined his journey. We'll also relive some of his most epic battles and consider his lasting legacy in Dungeons & Dragons lore and beyond. So settle in as we uncover the incredible story of one of D&D's most iconic characters. To truly grasp the gravity of Drizzt's story, we must first descend into the Underdark, a vast, hostile, and alien world. Stretching for untold miles beneath the surface, this labyrinth of interconnecting tunnels and massive caverns teems with life both fascinating and horrifying. The air is damp, the ground treacherous, and the bioluminescent fungi provide a faint, eerie glow that only heightens the shadows. This is no ordinary underground network. The Underdark is a world where danger is a constant companion. Creatures like the psionic mind flayers, who use their intellects as a weapon, and beholders whose many eyes wield death and devastation, are commonplace. The Duergar dark dwarves maintain their grim empires in this merciless domain. The abelisks plot in their ancient underwater layers. For anyone living here, survival is a daily battle. At the heart of this perilous realm is Menzoberranzan, the city of the drow, a place as dangerous as the wilds of the Underdark itself. Rising from the cavern floors like jagged black crystals, the city is illuminated by magical fairy fire, casting an otherworldly glow on the dark stone towers. Ruled by their matriarchal hierarchy that venerates Loth, the Spider Queen, Menzoberranzan thrives on deception, ambition, and murder. Matron mothers, like Drizzt's own, command their houses with iron fists, while the priests of Loth enforce a religion steeped in chaos and treachery. In this cruel society, betrayal is not only commonplace, but it is celebrated. Drizzt's entire life was forged in the crucible of this darkness, where compassion was punished and power was the only currency that mattered. Drizzt's story begins in House Do'Urden, one of the many noble families vying for power in Menzoberranzan. Noble houses are ranked by their standing in Loth's favor, a precarious and often temporary status that shifts with every single intrigue, assassination, or outright war. Despite its relatively modest position, House Do'Urden had ambitions of rising through the ranks. Ambitions fueled by the ruthless matron Malice. When Drizzt was born, he was destined to be sacrificed to Loth, as drow custom dictates for third-born sons. However, fate intervened. On the very night of his birth, House Do'Urden launched a calculated attack on a rival house, an assault that ended with the death of Drizzt's older brother, Zaknafein. This unexpected death made Drizzt's sacrifice unnecessary, sparing his life, at least for a moment. Yet the shadow of Loth's influence would loom over him for years to come. As a child, Drizzt was indoctrinated into the drow way of life. His mother and sisters taught him the value of cunning, cruelty, and ambition to the Spider Queen. Yet even in his youth, Drizzt felt out of place. He observed his siblings' machinations with unease and struggled to reconcile their teachings with the faint glimmer of morality he felt deep within himself. This inner conflict would define Drizzt's early years, setting him apart from his peers and planting the seeds of rebellion. Among the cold, calculating members of House Do'Urden, one figure stood apart. Zaknafein, the house's weapon master and Drizzt's biological father. Zaknafein was a contradiction. A drow warrior of unparalleled skill who secretly despised the culture that glorified bloodshed and treachery. His scorn for drow society was a closely guarded secret, for open defiance of Loth's teachings would mean a death sentence. When Drizzt came of age, Zaknafein took him under his wing, training him in the deadly art of swordplay. Under Zaknafein's tutelage, Drizzt mastered the use of dual scimitars, a fighting style that would become his trademark. Yet, the lessons expanded far beyond technique. Zaknafein also instilled in Drizzt a sense of honor and justice, concepts nearly unheard of among the drow. Their bond was more than that of a teacher and student. It was one of kindred spirits. Zaknafein saw in Drizzt a chance of redemption, a spark of hope that the drow were not beyond salvation. For Drizzt, Zaknafein's guidance was a lifeline, a beacon of light in the darkness of Menzoberranzan. But their relationship was bittersweet, for both knew the cost of defying Loth. Zaknafein's ultimate sacrifice, offering his life to save Drizzt from the wrath of matron Malice, cemented his legacy as the most significant influence on Drizzt's life. His death was a devastating loss, but also a turning point, galvanizing Drizzt's resolve to forge his own path. Drizzt's first raid as a warrior marked a pivotal moment in his life. The target was a surface elf village, a serene community nested in a forest, bathed in moonlight. The drow raiders descended upon the unsuspecting villagers with ruthless precision, killing without mercy. For Drizzt, the raid was a horrifying revelation. Amidst the chaos, Drizzt found himself face to face with an elven child. He hesitated, unable to deliver the killing blow. This moment of compassion set him apart from his kin, a silent rebellion against the brutality he was expected to embrace. After the raid, Drizzt was haunted by the images of slaughter and the cries of the innocent. His heart broke for the elves, and his disdain for his people only grew. When Drizzt confronted his family about the raid, their response was chillingly indifferent. To them, the massacre was a display of strength, an offering to Loth. This moment solidified Drizzt's alienation from drow society. He could no longer stomach the cruelty that defined his people. and his decision to leave Menzoberranzan became inevitable. Escaping Menzoberranzan was not just a physical trial for Drizzt, it was a psychological crucible that would test his endurance, morality, and identity. The city of the drow, a fortress of labyrinthine design, heavily patrolled and rife with magical wards to ensure that no one can escape its grasp, at least easily. Drizzt's decision to leave Menzoberranzan made him an enemy of not only his house, but also Loth herself, whose priests decreed that he must be hunted and killed for his defiance, navigating the dangers of the Underdark. The Underdark is a realm where the line between predator and prey is razor thin, and Drizzt found himself surrounded by threats that would terrify even the bravest adventurers. Giant spiders spun webs across narrow chasms, waiting for anything to stray into their trap. Packs of feral quaggoths prowled the caverns, and deep roars of umber hulks echoed through the tunnels, their burrowing creating sudden collapses that would trap or crush unwary travelers. Among the most dangerous of these threats were the Mind Flayers, the psionic overlords of the Underdark. With their alien intellect and ability to dominate the minds of others, these illithids represented a unique danger to Drizzt, one that required not just skill with blades, but sheer mental resilience to survive. The occasional appearance of beholders, a race whose very presence can paralyze and destroy with a glance, made the Underdark an unrelenting gauntlet of terror. Drizzt also faced drow patrols sent by Menzoberranzan, dispatched to capture or to kill him. These were warriors as skilled as he was, wielding poison-tipped weapons and the same cruel cunning installed in all drow from birth. For Drizzt, each encounter was a deadly game of cat and mouse, requiring him to use his knowledge of drow tactics to evade or outsmart his hunters. Survival and transformation. For years, Drizzt lived as a fugitive, relying on his wit, resourcefulness, and mastery of combat to survive. He scavenged for food in the hostile environment, hunting blind cave fish or surviving on edible fungi that grew in the darkest corners of the Underdark. The absence of sunlight, the oppressive silence, and the ever-present danger of predators wore on him, threatening to erode his resolve. Despite the physical hardships, it was the loneliness that cut the deepest. Drizzt's exile from his people meant he had no allies, no safety, and no certainty of what would lay ahead. The endless dark of the Underdark mirrored his own internal struggle, a battle to hold on to the values his father Zaknafein had installed in him while resisting the whispers of despair. But this solitude also gave him clarity. Free from the influence of Menzoberranzan, Drizzt had time to reflect on who he wanted to be. Each fight for survival was a test of his principles, forcing him to reaffirm his rejection of Loth's teachings. With every foe he defeated and every trial he overcame, his resolve to live by his own moral code grew stronger. The bond with Guenhwyvar. It was during this time that Drizzt formed one of the most important relationships of his life, his bond with Guenhwyvar, the magical panther summoned from an extra-dimensional plane. A figure of wondrous power, carved from onyx, came into Drizzt's possession after a fierce battle with another drow. When he first summoned Guenhwyvar, the panther appeared as a sleek and powerful feline, her emerald eyes glowing with intelligence. Guenhwyvar became more than just a tool for survival. She was a companion in an otherwise desolate existence. In a world where trust was almost non-existent, Guenhwyvar offered Drizzt an unbreakable bond of loyalty and friendship. Together, they hunted for food, defended against attacks, and explored the endless caverns of the Underdark. The panther's presence was a source of comfort for Drizzt, a reminder that he was not entirely alone in his journey. Guenhwyvar also served as a reflection of Drizzt's own ideals. Unlike the drow, who saw creatures as tools to be exploited, Drizzt treated Guenhwyvar with respect and care, strengthening their bond and showcasing his compassion even in the most dire circumstances. The years of transformation. The years Drizzt spent in the Underdark were more than just a fight for survival. They were a transformative period that shaped him into the hero he would later become. In the absence of societal constraints, he was free to forge his own identity. The darkness around him became both a trial and a teacher, sharpening his instincts and forcing him to rely on his own judgment rather than the teachings of Loth. These years also solidified Drizzt's skill as a warrior. He learned to use the shadows to his advantage, striking from the darkness with precision and speed. His dual scimitars became an extension of himself, a tool not for destruction, but for survival and defiance. Every encounter, whether against beasts of the Underdark or the drow sent to kill him, owned his abilities and steeled determination. Ultimately, Drizzt emerged from this period not as a broken exile, but as a hardened survivor, a man who had faced the worst that the Underdark could offer and refused to succumb to it. The darkness that surrounded him became a crucible, forging his willpower and morality into something unbreakable. His resolve to live a life of honor, no matter the cost, became the cornerstone of his character, guiding him as he left the Underdark to seek a new life in the surface world. Emerging from the Underdark, Drizzt found himself in a world as alien to him as he was to it. The surface was a land of beauty and light. It was also a place of deep prejudice. To most surface dwellers, drow were synonymous with evil, and Drizzt's dark skin and white hair marked him as a threat. Despite the hostility he faced, Drizzt remained committed to proving his worth. He became a wanderer, traveling across the Sword Coast and beyond, helping those in need and fighting against injustice. His presence was a paradox, a creature of the shadows fighting for the light. Drizzt's journey truly came alive when he met the companions of the Hall, a group of adventurers who became his closest friends and family. There was Bruenor Battlehammer, the stubborn but noble dwarf who dreamed of reclaiming his ancestral home, Mithril Hall. His adopted daughter, Canterbury, was a human with a strong will and a sharp mind, who would later become Drizzt's greatest loves. Then there was Wulfgar, the mighty barbarian who wielded the warhammer Aegisfang, and Regis, the cunning halfling whose charm and wit often got the group out of trouble. Together, they shared countless adventures, from battling orc hordes to reclaiming Bruenor's homeland. The bonds the Drizzt formed with the companions were a stark contrast to the relationships he had in Menzoberranzan. For the first time, he experienced loyalty, trust, and love, a found family that gave him the strength to face even the direst challenges. Drizzt's life has been a series of incredible achievements, marked by battles that have become legend in the Forgotten Realms. One of his most defining victories came when he faced Ertu, a demon of the Abyss who sought vengeance against Drizzt. In a fierce battle on an icy tundra, Drizzt's skill and determination proved superior, and he managed to banish the demon once again. Another iconic moment was the battle against Shimmergloom, the shadow dragon that terrorized Mithril Hall. Deep within the dwarven stronghold, Drizzt fought the dragon in near darkness, relying on his agility and precision to land decisive blows. This victory was a turning point for the companions of the Hall as they reclaimed Bruenor's ancestral home. Drizzt also played a crucial role in the defense of 10 towns in Icewind Dale, when an army of orcs and frost giants threatened the region. Drizzt's leadership and tactical brilliance turned the tide of the battle. His actions saved countless lives and cemented his reputation as a hero of the North. And of course, there's Drizzt's rivalry with Artemis and Treri. Their battles were not just about skill, but about the clash of ideologies, and Treri's cold pragmatism versus Drizzt's unwavering sense of honor. These duels are some of the most gripping moments in Drizzt's story, showcasing his growth as a warrior and as a person. Drizzt Do'Urden is more than just a skilled warrior. He is a philosopher and a thinker. His journals, written through his travels, offer profound reflection of morality, society, and the nature of good and evil. One of Drizzt's core beliefs is that we are defined not by our origins, but by the choices we make. This idea is a direct challenge to the drow culture that he left behind, where one's worth is determined by their ability to dominate others. Drizzt's life is a testament to the idea that anyone can choose a better path, no matter how dark their beginnings. Drizzt's philosophy extends to his relationships as well. He values loyalty, compassion, and mutual respect, qualities that are rare in both the Underdark and the surface world. These values make him not just a great warrior, but a true hero. Someone who inspires others to be better. Drizzt Do'Urden's story has left a big mark on the world of Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy storytelling as a whole. As a drow hero, Drizzt broke the mold, proving that even those from the darkest of origins can shine as a beacon of hope. His story has inspired countless players to create complex, morally ambiguous characters, enriching the tapestry of D&D campaigns worldwide. R.A. Salvatore's novels have introduced Drizzt to millions of readers, making him one of the most beloved characters in the Forgotten Realms. Drizzt's adventures have been adapted into video games, comics, and other media, cementing his place as a cultural icon. But perhaps Drizzt's greatest legacy is the message he leaves behind, that no matter where we come from, we have the power to choose our own destiny. His journey reminds us that heroism is not about perfection. It's about striving to be better, even when the odds are against us. Drizzt Do'Urden is more than just a character. He is a symbol of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of choice. His journey from the darkness of Menzoberranzan to the light of the surface world is a story that resonates with anyone who has ever felt trapped by their circumstances or judged by their origins. But what about you? What part of Drizzt's story resonates with you the most? Is it his courage in defying his people, his epic battles, or the bonds he shares with his companions? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this dive into Drizzt's world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There's so much more D&D lore to explore, and I'd love for you to join me on the journey. And to whoever is watching, remember, like Drizzt, we all have the power to forge our own path. Until next time, take care, and may your adventures always lead to greatness.